This is a HeadGum podcast.
Hello and welcome to The Complete Guide to Everything, a podcast about everything. I'm one of your hosts, Tom.
And I'm Tim.
Tim, the boys are back in town.
Bum, ba, da, ba. I was going to sing Boys Are Back in Town, but we don't have the rights.
We've been negotiating with them for years with Thin Lizzy.
Yeah.
To get the rights.
Oh, the email came. We got the rights, Tom.
Oh.
Just this. What luck.
What a coincidence. So that was all the negotiating was just for that?
Yeah.
So we don't have the
$720,000, Tom.
we don't have the performance or what the recording rights or whatever it is.
We don't have the mechanical license to play the actual recording. No.
What license do we have?
I think it's Tom, I was a music business major in college.
I just asked you, what are the two licenses?
I mean, the songwriting, there's the one that covers songwriting, and then there's one that covers the recording.
Right.
Hell if I know what the publishing... Oh, the publishing? No. The songwriting. This isn't good content. We're in the same room, Tom.
Yeah, we're in that. That's what this is all leading to.
Yeah.
That for the first time since last March, we are in the same room recording.
This is the first time we're in the same room.
Yeah, indoors.
Indoors.
That's true. Yeah, we've hung out a few times, but it's always been outside to be safe. But we're both fully vaccinated.
Well, I'm not, but I'm just not scared.
What? Oh, you're just not scared anymore.
Yeah, I was pretty scared. It was pretty scary there for a while.
Yeah, but now everything's fine.
I mustered up a good amount of bravery, and here I am.
All right, well.
Not feeling so great, but I'm just gonna plow through it, Tom.
Well, you know what, Tim? We're back recording in the same room again, so that also means it's gonna get very hot in here. We're both gonna feel very sick by the end of recording, regardless.
Yeah. So we just have to remember that's just the stupid process which we go through to record this moderately at best successful podcast and not a deadly disease.
That's just all part of the process that we make ourselves sick. We don't bleed for this podcast, but I guess we make ourselves slightly uncomfortable occasionally for this podcast.
And I think
all
it comes
for
across.
You, the loyal listener.
Yeah. Tom, before we were recording, before we hit record here, you were mentioning
you're that rusty.
I forgot all the terms. I just don't know any terms in any industry I've ever been in.
I think you should try and get that money back. You can't even remember the word record.
You were saying you're so joyful that we're back in the same room that it was worth it to have this whole COVID situation so you could feel this happy to be back in the same room.
Yeah, it made me truly appreciate being back in the same room together. And
you said it was worth it.
Yeah, and if that's what it takes, so be it. I mean, nobody got hurt. It's fine.
Tom, I have some terrible news for you.
What's that? You can tell me off air.
Yeah.
It sounds like it's not going to be interesting.
Tom, how you been?
Good. Go ahead. No, you talk.
For the first time, it's just us tripping over each other, not because of a digital delay over Zoom or FaceTime, however we did it. It's just we're bad at...
It's just social awkwardness and poor conversation skills, poor listening skills, poor interpersonal skills.
We're not very good with those skills normally.
Right.
And then you take us out of the game for 14 months. This is the first time we didn't have to go through an elaborate syncing process
where we clap.
Yeah.
People don't know a little behind the scenes. When we sync over FaceTime, we clap. And then you can sync them back up together. Oh boy, this is going to be a long episode.
We're out of stuff to talk about already.
We hung out in real life the other night, though. We went to a bar.
Yeah, we sat outside.
Yeah, we were still outside. I mean, you're allowed to be inside now, but it's nice out.
Did you find this weird at the bar?
What's that?
Now that New York is a weed city, people are just sitting outside at the bar smoking weed, smoking bowls.
Yeah, you kept calling the police and they refused to come.
Well, I just flag him out and go, officer, officer.
Well, that was the most awkward part, that you kept running into the street to try and flag down cop cars because you were afraid that if you called 911, they would overhear the call.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I didn't. And I don't want to be a snitch.
Yeah. I thought what was weird was I forgot, I haven't bought a beer that wasn't from a supermarket in a long time. I'm like, God, going to a bar, those prices, $8 for a beer.
Yeah. And I don't know. Do you feel like they didn't change the keg since last March?
Yeah, it didn't. It wasn't like great stuff. And, there are supply issues all over the place. Like, who knows when and where that beer is from.
What? Hey, it was shared with good friends.
Yeah, we finally, I don't know, hung out somewhere in public. Well, we've hung out in public.
Yeah, exclusively in public.
Yeah,
Tom.
Yeah, it's true.
Parks.
I guess this was maybe a little more private.
Yeah.
It also sucked because...
It sucked. I had a good time.
Oh, no. I mean...
It also sucked for this reason.
Well, I was going to say another reason why COVID sucks is besides us not being able to be in the same room together recording, like 2 of my 3 go-to bars in this neighborhood have now closed.
Shuttered for good.
Yeah, for good. No, 3 have. Yeah, 3
out of
good
3?
bars. What was that?
3 out of 3?
3 out of 3. No, 3 out of 6.
Okay.
I would say
50%. That's look.
So my point was just going to be when we were there, I was like, oh, well, if it's crowded, we can go to. And then I was like, oh, shit. No, that closed. Oh, that closed. Oh, that closed. So there you go, Tim. There's another bad thing that happened because of COVID. So we're up to 2 bad things.
Yeah. Couldn't record. And then Tom can't go to every bar that he wants to go to. And that was the real travesty of those bars, of those businesses shuttering.
Yeah, they were like, boy, we liked when Tom came here every once in a while and complained about how expensive everything was.
Have you noticed this about New York, Tom?
What's that?
It's look, we're getting back. New York is back in business, but it's also amplified. My least favorite thing about New York is that everybody's trying to do anything fun at the same time.
Yeah.
So everything's always mobbed. Mm-hmm. And now especially because everything's 50% capacity or and everybody's like, I can do this for the first time in a year. You need reservations to do anything.
Yeah, I've been dying to see some live music. And just realizing it's going to be hard to get tickets to even just normal shit now because everybody else feels the way I feel.
Yeah. Yeah, I tried to get tickets to a live performance the other day. I set my alarm to make sure I was up for when the tickets went on sale. Mm-hmm. The ticket site crashed, and I think everybody in New York was trying to get tickets to this. It was that rascal John Mulaney. He's doing these shows.
I thought you were going to say Rascal Flatts was coming to town.
Oh, man. Do you think Rascal Flatts plays New York on their tours?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah?
Huge.
They're huge? He's huge? We don't know. Okay.
Who knows?
You just went, huge.
Huge.
Would you go to an indoor concert?
Would I go to a Rascals Flat concert if he or them came to New York?
You'd be a fool not to.
I don't think I would yet, even though I intellectually understand that, things are pretty safe right now. And I'm safe. I'm fully vaccinated and I got the Pfizer vaccine. So I got the good one. But I think I'm just not, there yet with being used to doing that again.
Yeah. Before I met you to get drinks the other night, you and your girlfriend, my wife and I went out to dinner, outdoor dining. It was the first time we did that.
Yeah.
And there was this table of 20-somethings, one table over, being loud and having and I remember I hate being around strangers having a good time.
Yeah.
That's the number one thing I hate. Well, that was
the people next to us when we were out, the other night that were smoking weed next to us. It was just a huge, group of like young people dressed provocatively.
Yeah.
And just being very loud.
Yeah. And I like when I have a good time and my friends have a good time with me, not when I'm not around. But like other people having a good time, and it's like, oh, that's what you run into all the time when you're out in New York City with strangers. I think I'm going to have a hard time readjusting or getting back to life. Where it's just like, you
hadn't even adjusted to society well in the first place.
No, but I got to a place where it was like,
you're fooling some people.
Yeah.
And now it's you 2 steps forward, 1 step back. No, 1 step forward, 2 steps back,
or 2 steps forward, like 3 or 4 steps back.
Yeah,
I've been doing a lot of stepping.
Oh, I was talking about one of the famous dances to a Rascal Flatts song. I was giving out the instructions for anybody that was planning on seeing them like I am when he or they come to New York.
You're going to do the famous...
Yeah, 1 step forward, 2 steps back, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. What did you say then? 5 steps forward, 1 step back?
Yeah, and that's how you do the flats.
And that's why they need such a big venue to perform in, because there's got to be enough room for everybody to do that.
And I will go to that Rascal Flatts concert with you, Tom.
You're not invited. Tim, this week we're talking about the people who benefited most from this pandemic
and complained the most about this pandemic.
I mean, they'll find something to complain. Yeah. Some of them. We'll get to it. We're talking about billionaires.
Billionaires.
Not millionaires, not multimillionaires, billionaires. And let me start off by saying this is like one of my constant issues with American society, the world society, everywhere.
Okay.
People not understanding, not everybody, obviously, but like some people not understanding like just how much more rich a billionaire is than a millionaire. That a billion is 1,000 million. So when you think about like a millionaire being shorthand for somebody that's rich, think about somebody being at least 1,000 times richer than that. And in some cases, 100,000 times richer than that.
Yeah. And Tom, unlike you, I think billionaires are cool and generous people.
There aren't any billionaires listening to this podcast, Tim. That I can guarantee you.
I don't know.
Hey, if you're a billionaire out there you're listening to this podcast, prove it by sending us each.
If you're a billionaire listening to this podcast and you don't send us $1 million, I'm not.
Well, but Tim,
then you're a jerk. Then you're just a jerk.
If we each got $1 million from a listener, how do we not know they're not just a multimillionaire?
So what
they would have to send each of us $500 million to prove that they have at least $1 billion.
Yeah.
But then look, here's the grift. Here's how we become billionaires. We come back
get married.
No, damn it. Why is that always what your plans lead to?
It just seems in this situation, I'll concede some of the other times I've proposed that. Mm-hmm. Didn't really make sense, but this time
you're a married man, Tim. It really doesn't make sense under any circumstances.
My wife doesn't have $500 million goddamn dollars.
That's true. No, I was gonna say we convince a billionaire to give each of us $500 million, and they go, see, I've proven it, and then we can go, how do we know you didn't just have $1 billion and now you're poor? Now you're out on the street. You gave away literally all your money just to prove to us you're billionaires. I think you're going to have to prove you've got more money, that you are still a billionaire. Then that's how we should become billionaires. We get them together. And like probably...
This is a very insecure billionaire. I don't think you get to be a billionaire if you're so easily goaded into giving out.
I mean, maybe some people become billionaires and then they're just immediately swindled out of that money by people being like, no, you're not.
Do you think there's a billionaire that there are several billionaires that have earned their fortune in that way?
Through questioning another billionaire?
Yeah.
I mean, if I did it, I would keep my mouth shut about it. You know, I'd be like, oh no, I invented a new website that everybody loves. And then if they were like, well, what website is it? Is it Google or Amazon? I'd be like, oh, I can't tell you.
See, the problem with these billionaires.
Like, I invented the startup page when you first launch your browser. It doesn't even have an address.
What's on that page?
Sometimes news. It depends on the browser you have.
Oh, and it's customized to the browser.
Yeah, it's different for every browser.
That's
settings.
the killer feature of your.
Well, that's
your
how
website.
I became a billionaire. That's what I would tell them.
Yeah,
They would also have to
really-
be pretty computer illiterate.
I also think that there'd be a lot of tax implication. Like if somebody gifted you $500 million or $1 billion.
Yeah.
I feel like Uncle Sam's coming in and taking a chunk of
Well,
that.
then you go back to the billionaire and you go, well, you didn't really prove it because
Yeah.
look, after taxes, I only got like 300 million.
Yeah.
Would you, if you were given, all right, if somebody gave you just like a briefcase with $1 billion, which I get is
That'd be
impossible.
A heavy briefcase.
What would you do?
What do you mean?
Like if somebody just gave, all right, let's not say $1 billion. Let's say somebody handed you a briefcase that had $5 million in it. And they were like, this is not stolen. This is not ill-gotten, but I can't tell you where it came from, but it's yours. And now, poof, I'm going to disappear.
I think I'd be too afraid to do anything with
Right?
it.
You would just be
I
paralyzed
think
with
I'd
like,
just like leave it on a park bench and
No.
like slowly walk away.
I would take it and hide it. And then I was going to start giving out some details of somebody that I know that's hiding money from the IRS and how they're doing it.
How are they doing it?
Well, I'm not going to tell you that.
And who is it? Just tell me the name of who it is.
No. And it's
Is
not
it Rascal Flats?
Rascal Flats.
Rascal.
They pay their fair share of taxes, I'm sure. And the last thing we need, Tim, is to be sued by one or multiple men on this podcast for slander.
The last thing we need is this country being torn apart by some investigation into Rascal Flats' finances.
Yeah. I would keep it, and I would just start paying for a lot of stuff in cash, I think.
Yeah, but what if...
But I don't know. I think I would start doing that a little bit, not a lot. But then I would immediately look into like, okay, where can I go with this money where there aren't going to be any questions?
You need to
asked?
launder it, is what you're saying. You need to launder that money.
Well, I guess launder it in the terms of like, yeah, I can't just be like, hey, some guy gave me $5 million. Like, I'll pay the taxes on it. They'd be like, no. You're going to give it all to us. We'll give it back to you once we figure out.
Right.
If
So
you
you need to like spend it all at a laundromat or something, right? And
Tim,
then
that's not what laundering money is.
you need to
you,
spend it.
you put it in the change machine. You turn a dollar bill into 4 quarters and nobody's none the wiser.
I mean, to some extent, yeah. No, let's say you got a friend with a hamburger restaurant.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And you're just like, I'm going to buy $5 million worth of hamburgers from your establishment. You keep.
The hamburgers.
Yeah,
well,
I'm not-
give me a
don't-
couple of the
don't- yeah.
hamburgers.
And you keep, $500,000 for your trouble here, and then
Uh-huh.
then make me part owner, and I'm gonna get the rest of that, right? And then it's like, hey, I made this from my hamburger business.
Yeah. I'd want to spend this money right away
On what?
on like luxurious things.
I don't think you do. I don't think you can go from zero to luxury. I think this is why lottery winners are always end up so tragically.
Yeah, I guarantee you like if you go to like a Lamborghini dealership or something, if you ask them like, hey, how many of your sales are in cash? It's probably like a pretty large, like, yep. Somebody came in with, $100,000 cash and like, the money's real. That's their problem.
Can you do something with crypto with that money?
Yeah. I mean, that's like one of the big attractions of cryptocurrency. Like it's gotten a lot harder as, you
spend a lot of time on the dark web.
Yeah. As like, regulations have come in and like places have kept more of an, once cryptocurrency actually started being worth something, excuse me. But I mean, there are people who, got 1,000 Bitcoin, 7 years ago or something when it was worthless, and now are like, oh shit, like I am a multi-millionaire.
But that's legal. That's fine.
Yeah.
But you can't go in and just buy $5 million worth of Bitcoin right now and then cash out tomorrow and nobody knows. Like, no, there's no tracing.
No, there is tracing. Like you can't.
That's the whole thing.
Well, no, I mean, like to turn cash into Bitcoin, you have to buy it from like an exchange, and they have to register you. So like.
And what's the point of Bitcoin? Then how is it all this illegal stuff happening?
Because that's only if you're buying it with cash. Like if you have Bitcoin, then so good example. Like if I had 1,000 Bitcoin from like 7 years ago or something, and now it's worth a fortune, it's extremely possible nobody would know about that. There are tons of people out there that they're in this case, they're in this situation, and there's like...
Wait, then how did they get it? When they had to be registered from an exchange?
No, like people who mined it themselves years ago, or like bought it before exchanges had to do this kind of stuff.
Right.
And isn't
there some crypto that you can buy that is less reputable that you can flip? I just gotta buy something that you can flip.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you can turn into other crypto. But what I'm saying is like a lot of those people, like especially in this like last boom, were like, I now have like $100 million out of nowhere. Let me look into which country I should move to in order to withdraw that money and not have half of it disappear to taxes.
Right. Well, I mean, you're entitled to that money. Earned it.
You earned it with your mining, Tim. You're always big about we gotta save the miners. You
risked your life. Yeah.
Down in those mines. My point being from the beginning of this diatribe that there's a big difference between millionaires and billionaires. And like I'm sure I've talked about this on this before, but like I always go back to getting so mad at this at these comments in Mark Ruffalo's feed.
Tom, you gotta get off Mark Ruffalo's feed.
Look, Tim, it's my people. It's my tribe is in Mark Ruffalo's comment section.
Okay.
No, actually the opposite. Where like he posted, he's a big lefty, and he posted some like anti Amazon thing, anti Jeff Bezos thing. And people in the comments were like, oh yeah, well, you're easy for you to say. I looked it up on Google and you're worth $50 million. So who are you to talk? It's like, no, you don't understand. Mark Ruffalo being worth $50 million, he is so much closer to whatever your normal person wealth is than he is Jeff Bezos. Like those aren't the same category of rich people.
And Mark Ruffalo's handsomer. He
is a lot handsomer. And he's stronger. Even though Jeff Bezos like spent all that time getting ripped so he could leave his wife, he still can't turn green and become a huge monster.
That's true. He had to become a huge monster through other means.
So, Tim, you said you like Billionaires now?
Well, I was trying to butter them up a little bit.
Oh, right. That's all that was.
Yeah. Have you ever spoken to a billionaire?
You know what? I was trying to think of if I ever have, and I don't think I ever have. Have you?
I have one time.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Did you say, hey, give me $1 million?
I thought I was funny and I was drunk and I like kind of, I think I like mumbled it and then like walked away.
Who was it? Was this Warren Buffett?
No, it's like.
Was this Jimmy Buffett?
I would have been like, hey, play Cheeseburger in Paradise.
Yeah, he would have been like, get the fuck out of here.
No, it's one of these smart billionaires, I think, that like doesn't want anyone to really know that he's a billionaire. Like that's the thing about all these dumbass billionaires. Like they want to get on lists. Like there's all these like the Kardashians.
Who are these damn Kardashian twins that my daughter's so obsessed with?
Like they're one by one becoming like billionaires, right?
Right. And there was like a big controversy because one of them, it was like the youngest self-made billionaire. And people were like, that's not self-made.
But also there's a lot of questions like, are they actually billionaires?
Right.
Like, how dumb. If I was a billionaire, I wouldn't want anybody to know a goddamn thing about how much money I had. And these people are putting out press releases like, hey, guess what? I'm a billionaire now. Well, shut up.
So that's
keep your money.
That's the other thing with not to bring it back to cryptocurrency, but I am that I feel like a lot of these people don't understand, which I've seen, that people are like, hey, like experts are like, hey, if you're into cryptocurrency, great. Don't tell anyone that. Keep it to yourself. Like, because the whole, cryptocurrency is basically cash. So they're like, if you're like, posting screenshots of your Robinhood account on Instagram and stuff, there's very little stopping somebody from like coming into your apartment with a wrench and being like, put in the password and send it to this wallet or else I'm going to bash your head in. And then once you do it, like the money's gone. That's it.
Yeah. Wrench crime. You always got to be on the lookout for wrench crime.
No, we're going to hear from crypto people. There is a term for it that is something like wrench or baseball bat, where it's like, you have to have like, certain levels of security and backups and stuff, but that you also have to think about like, what's my plan for if somebody just starts chopping my fingers off until I tell them my password? And usually the answer is like, have a dummy wallet set up somewhere with like some money in it, but not all of your money.
I would reinforce my finger bones with steel.
I would just wear like chainmail gloves all the time.
Yeah, that's true. You'd have to kind of like...
I'd have them locked on like a chastity belt.
Exactly. That's what you'd have to do.
I'd probably just chop my hands off, I guess, but...
No, you'd cover your whole body in chainmail.
Oh, well, or I was going to say, I would have to have some kind of a fingerprint thing so that I'd be like, go ahead and chop my hands off. Then nobody will be getting any money. But then I guess they could probably just take my hand out of the chainmail and put it on the thing. You have to like get the blood pumping though for a lot of these fingerprint readers, I think.
You've done a lot of research into this.
Yeah, maybe I shouldn't be saying this too. That maybe somebody's like, oh, damn, I can't come and steal all Tom's money. And then they're like, oh, you just have to get the blood pumping in the severed hand.
Tom, I look, as it stands right now, you don't have chainmail on your hands. I don't have steel reinforced finger bones. People could just steal all of our wealth with a wrench.
You are wearing a chastity belt though that I meant to ask you about earlier.
That's
a COVID thing. That's for safety.
It's not my choice, but I've chosen to embrace it.
Here's my beef with most billionaires.
You can tell it's going to be a good segment when it starts with a big sigh.
Tim, I was recording last week or the week before. I noticed how many of our segments start with a sigh. And it's not, I think it's just like us like taking a breath, getting ready. But it sounds like we think this is a chore if we don't edit those sighs out.
Another thing, a little behind the scenes that I notice when I edit is before we start, you'll say like, all right, I'll start off this segment. I got something to say. And 9 times out of 10, after you say that, it starts out with, Tim, another thing that I wanted to bring up.
Yeah. Sometimes I forget it in the time between when I say I have something and then when I start talking. The idea that this is why I get so mad about billionaires. I was getting so mad researching this, that all these billionaires have pulled this like big fucking scam of like, oh no, I'm a philanthropist.
Yeah.
It's okay that I don't pay any taxes because look at all the money I give. And the example that I got here, and this is like some old numbers, but I don't know, Jeff Bezos donated $100 million to something, to some cause. It might have even been COVID stuff, but I don't think so. I think it was something else, whatever. But you're like, holy shit, $100 million. That's nuts. That's an insane amount of money. If he were donating that to me,
well,
at a park
still
bench,
ask for $400 million more
yeah,
to prove that he's a billionaire.
Like, well, you're part of the way there, Jeff. You know, now we have
almost believe you, Baldy.
Now we have a gentleman's agreement to keep going. You know, now I know you're serious. You've got some skin in the game. So $100 million at an estimated net worth of 165 billion, which I think is an old number. I think he's richer now.
Yeah.
And this was after his divorce. That generous sum constitutes 0.06 of his wealth. To put that in perspective, if you had a $15,000 car, another $1,500 sitting in a bank account, and you had zero debt, which, you know, this describes already like less than half the country, this would be the equivalent of giving $10 to charity.
Yeah.
And that's what people just don't do the math on this stuff of like, yeah, $100 million is a shit ton of money to everyone in the world except for like a couple of thousand people who it's absolutely nothing to. And that's why it's a big problem that billionaires even exist.
You ever hear this line from like billionaires or like other like fabulously wealthy people where they're just like,
well, I don't know, Tim. I don't hang out with billionaires like you.
Rub elbows to do Oppo research, Tom.
Or did you read somewhere that billionaires like having their elbows rubbed and you're trying to get in?
I mean, some of them do.
You're trying to get into
that's
some
a quicker
weird
way to
kink.
get your $500 million out of a billionaire. Find out which one of them likes which body part rubbed. Where they're just like, you know, like it's really overrated. People like it's another version of like money can't buy happiness. Where it's just like well, if you really believe this, that like money isn't the answer to everything, why are you spending so much fucking effort amassing so much of it that you'll never be able to do anything with in your lifetime?
Yeah. To become a billionaire, there needs to be something wrong with you where you don't at some point go like, that's enough. I'm going to enjoy my life. Cause like that's, you know, so right now Elon Musk is the richest American.
Oh, Jeff Bezos, I thought.
Or Jeff Bezos. It keeps going back.
2021, the Forbes list says
I think
Bezos at 177 billion, Elon at 151 billion.
I think
both very cool guys too. They seem like fun, cool, chill guys.
It depends on the stock price at the moment,
right?
Which is like also in fairness.
Like, they don't have $177 billion in a bank
cash.
Account liquid. That they
right.
Can,
and if Jeff Bezos was like, you know what, I want all my cash, I'm going to sell all my Amazon stock. Like it all of a sudden would not be worth that amount of money anymore either. But Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, either of those guys, I would not want to trade lives with them. Like they work like crazy.
Yeah.
They both have multiple companies. They're both in some dick measuring contest to get to space. It just, you know, doesn't seem like it's worth it. And that's what I'm saying. You have to become like, you have to be a weird psychopath in the first place to get to that amount of money where then you're just never going to enjoy it. Warren Buffett's another guy. And like people always talk about, the Oracle from Omaha. He still got like his, you know, 2-bedroom ranch home in
he's
Omaha.
96 and he's still fucking working every day.
Yeah, and it's like, all right, he kept the same house. Then why the fuck is he holding on to all that money? Give people who could use that money. something. That's why like when I was looking up lists of good billionaires and bad billionaires, there's this one guy, and like he was under bad billionaires, Mukesh Ambani.
Mm-hmm.
He lives in India. He's like an Indian, mogul.
He's a chairman, managing director, and largest shareholder of Reliance Industries Ltd, a Fortune Global 500 company and India's most valuable company by market value.
Yeah, so it's probably one of these companies that like does a million different things. But he has a $1.2 billion house in Mumbai. That's 27 stories tall, has a 168 car garage, 9 high-speed elevators, a ballroom, and a snow room, which is just a room where it snows inside.
That's cool. Like, look.
Well, and that's what I was going to say. So he's listed under like, he's bad. Jack Ma, the founder of Alibaba, they're like, he gave, $10 million to COVID research. He's a good billionaire. And again, it's like, that's $1 to him.
Yeah.
This other guy, I have more respect for the guy who's just like, fuck you. I'm so rich. Look at what I did. I built a skyscraper as my home because I'm just a real rich guy. And I'm not going to help out with any cause. But guess what? Like nobody else is really helping out anyway. So I don't care what people think of me.
If you had a 10-room home,
yeah.
If you're like me, you're only ever going to go in 3 of those rooms.
Right.
So like, I think it's cool. The snow room is cool.
You don't think he goes to every one of these 27 floors every day?
Yeah. Or ever really, right? Like,
yeah, there have to be floors where he's like, I haven't been on the 14th floor in years.
Yeah, but like, if there's a snow room, there should be like a hell room where you go in there and it's fire and it feels like you're in hell.
Yeah.
Like that stuff is
well, he
cool,
has
but
like
if it's
a
like
sauna and a spa,
I mean like theme rooms.
I know. Well, and I left out. He had just like a bunch, a big theater and
yeah, like that stuff is cool, useful.
Stuff.
But like a lot of people like have it's like okay, this is like a room with like couches and books and stuff and
is that the most extravagant
no
thing you
I'm thinking of like Monday like a living room and like they have the equivalent of like 15 living rooms and a bunch of bedrooms. It's like what are you gonna do so you have all these what are you gonna have like massive sleepovers? No like,
at what point are you gonna have all of these rooms being used at the same time?
Who cares? Just
make
live
a
in the
snow
space.
room.
Make a snow room. Make a hell room. A hell room would be cool. It'd be like you and your friends could be like, who could spend the longest time in the hell room?
So wait, what would the hell room actually entail?
It'd be fire and rocks and stuff.
So just like open flames? Like the room would be on fire?
You make it happen, Tom. You insulate it with asbestos.
You know what you would
stuff.
do? You bring in the guys that made the Backdraft ride.
Yeah.
From Universal Studios.
Exactly.
And then you can make a whole floor. And then you could have whenever you're showing people your new place, have the elevator stop there and be like, oh no, my home's on fire. Come follow me. We have to, escape. Get on this tram. There's no
King
time
Kong
to explain.
jumps out and
yeah, do all that stuff.
Oh my God, Jaws got it. Oh no.
Yeah. So that's
bite our boat.
Yeah, if you're a billionaire, and that's what I feel like, even the people who, like somebody like Jeff Bezos, I think he's in the middle of, or he just got some like insane yacht.
Yeah, $500 million yacht.
Yeah. And
which again is just like
nothing.
That was like if you
were going to buy a new car,
$300
not even. It would be like if I'm going to buy a PlayStation 5 or not. And I saw the pictures of this thing and like it looks like a beautiful boat. It looks so luxurious and high end. It doesn't look fun. It's like put a catapult on the back of it or something.
Some of these guys.
Mm-hmm. So not all of them. I want to be clear.
Because what I'm going to say, some of these guys, it's like they think they're like they think they're gonna like solve death, right? And so like people like, you can't take it with you. You have, hundreds of billions of dollars, and they're just like, I'm not going anywhere that I'm gonna take.
I'm going to Mars, and then I'm gonna live forever there.
Yeah, but wouldn't it be cool? Like, I hope at least one of these high profile guys, like, I outlive to just kind of be like, heh. And I hope like. The only way that's going to happen. And you hope
they didn't leave a will and it's just a free-for-all?
No, I just think, if
just
you found out
dibs?
that one of these guys just, like, choked on a baby carrot. Like
choked on a baby. I was like, oh, no. You're back into the QAnon stuff.
No, like, was eating, like, snacking on something, like, baby carrots and hummus and, like, watching TV.
Or overdose on adrenochrome.
But,
right, Tim?
Tom, you gotta stop trying to paint me as one of these people. It's gonna stick. This isn't right.
Well, stop trying to convince me that it's worth looking at.
If like one of the Waltons was just like, no, turns out they weren't gonna live forever. Yeah. I mean, I guess.
Well, people die all the time. Rich people die constantly.
Not like and maybe not the Walt. Look, here's what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not wishing death on anybody.
Right.
But I do think these smug pricks think they're like legitimately think they're not going to die.
Right.
And I would take a lot of joy in being around when they finally do die, because death and taxes. They beat taxes. They beat and I understand why they think they can beat death.
Yeah.
And I would just like to see them humbled by something.
But you're not going to see them humbled. They're going to die and then they just won't exist anymore.
Yeah, but that's cool.
I don't know. They'll not have learned anything.
Yeah.
Do you know who the richest person in modern history was?
Alexander the Great.
No.
I guess that's not modern history.
Jacob Fugger. They called him
the Fuggers?
They called him Fugger the Rich.
Who's this guy?
He's the guy they based Meet the Fockers on. He was the original Fock. That was before he emigrated, and then they changed their name from Fugger to Focker.
Yeah, he's the original guy that's asked if he could be milked because he has nipples.
Right, and that's how he became so rich, because he could be milked. No, he was alive in the 1400s into the 1500s. He was just like a German, like, import export guy.
Wow.
But number 2 is John D. Rockefeller.
Owner of Rockefeller Records.
Nope, that's not true, and that's not how he made his money, Tim. He owned railroads and oil. That was where the real money was, not in a record company. Again, I think you really weren't paying attention when you got that music business degree in school. He had what today would be equivalent to $350 to $420 billion.
That doesn't mean anything.
But that's like triple Jeff Bezos. So like gives you an idea of like, just how rich Rockefeller was.
Right.
And how, that family is still rich and influential.
Tom, he has a freaking ice skating rink in his backyard. Do you think he gets up every morning and goes ice skating?
No, Tim, John D. Rockefeller is long dead. I don't think.
What? This is how I find out.
I thought you would be celebrating.
What
I thought
happened
you'd
to
be
him?
dancing in the street.
A baby carrot?
Yeah, who knows? Mysterious circumstances.
How did he die?
I don't know, probably old age. That's the other thing. All these people, they think they're going to live forever, and like they're not half wrong. Like so many of them live to be like 105 years old.
But
I think through like pure force of will of like, I've got too much shit, I'm not going to die.
Yeah, but I feel like they get, like at some point they realize like, hey, this is, I am like, things are deteriorating here. And that's what I like when they reach that. That's what I want to see when they reach the point where it's like, oh, I'm not going to be immortal. And then their last days are just like, they're depressed about it.
I think people in those situations, like a Sheldon Adelson.
He passed, right?
Yeah.
He was, look,
And he was like very old and also like looked like he was near death, like moments from death for the last 20 years.
An Adonis, that man was, Tom. How dare you?
But I bet like nobody ever told him like, hey, Sheldon, you really look like shit, man. You're falling apart.
Who would tell him that?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. So like he probably never thought that. His dying thought was probably, what the hell? What? Why is this happening? No.
I think he was the kind of guy who's like, I know I look like shit, but guess what? I'm so rich, like I can have any woman I want. And I think that also like wasn't true, I think.
No, he had like a weird hair thing going on, right?
Yeah, like too much hair dye.
Yeah, like
No, nobody ever had jet black hair, especially not somebody in their 80s or 90s.
Right. And that's why I don't think he was one of these guys that was like, I know I look like shit.
Remind me, I have to start dyeing my hair jet black now so it doesn't look weird. Yeah. They'll be like, well, you had jet black hair for the last 50 years. Yeah, it makes sense. Tracks.
No, I think that people like him, that's why he's like was still dyeing his hair jet black, because he's like, I've gone prematurely gray. And that's why I need to do this. There are 2,200 billionaires in the world right now.
2,200. That's more than I thought.
They have a combined wealth of $9.1 trillion. And I originally in my notes put this as just 9 trillion. So I was like, I'm rounding. Then I'm like, I'm rounding $100 billion down. No, that's still a lot of money. The top 8 billionaires, who I have a list here, have the same amount of money as the bottom 50% of the world.
Yeah, I know, Tom. I've heard Bernie Sanders' stump speech as well.
Yeah, I follow Mark Ruffalo on Instagram too. You know what? I'm going to start from the bottom.
All right.
Alice Walton is number 10. She is followed right after by Jim and Rob Walton. They're 11 and 12.
That's a thing. Like, the Walton family is
the Walmart heirs.
Yeah. So friggin' if this isn't the most dystopian thing ever. They're so friggin' rich.
Yeah.
That 3 of them are the top 10 richest people in the world.
Top 12.
Right. Oh, in 2020 they were 8, 9, and 10.
Oh, okay.
But things have changed.
Yeah.
But they got that rich by
just being born.
Yeah, and owning stores where like it's like, oh, you don't have a lot of money, we can help you out with that. We'll sell you this garbage cheaply made stuff at better prices. And the reason we can give you better prices is because we're going to employ people and not pay them enough to live above the poverty line.
And we're going to use our monopoly power to like squeeze manufacturers. And then we're also going to count on the idea that we're going to run every other business out of town so that we're the only place to shop, and we'll make up the money and volume, and then that money will go to 3 people.
And 3 of us are the richest people in the world.
Yeah. And some of the richest people ever in history.
It's, hey, these people, what do you think they do? What do you think S. Robson Walton and Jim Walton and Alice Walton do? Like, they wake up in the morning.
Yeah.
Do they go to meetings and stuff? Because if so, you guys are fucking doing it wrong.
Well, yeah. I mean, I assume they're still
give away 90% of what you have and live like a fucking king or queen until you die.
Yeah.
Never work a day in your life. And guess what? You would have done so much good if you just give away your money.
That's what is like, again, it's the paradox of like, I can't believe nobody's ever done that nobody's ever been like, you know what? I'm going to make everybody look bad. And I have the self-awareness of like myself, my offspring, my grandkids, their grandkids, like could never spend this much money. So I'm just going to go down having a legacy The closest that this has gotten is Bill Gates. But the problem is
He's
Gates
richer now than ever before?
Yeah. So like it was just kind of a big PR thing that like him and Warren Buffett and stuff all got together and they were like, we're doing the giving pledge, which is during our lifetime and upon our death combined, we're pledging to give away at least half of our money. It's like, well, after you're dead, shithead, it's not your money anymore anyway. So you're deciding like it's not going to go to my kids. All right. Because you know they're going to be fine. Also, that's just a huge tax dodge where I'm sure all these people have also explained to their kids. Well, I'm sure all their kids are well versed enough about all this stuff that they're like, you don't want that half of the money. That half of the money is going to go to charity. And as a result, you're going to be able to keep all the money I give you instead of having to pay
also, God
half the
forbid,
taxes.
They only leave each kid $50 million or $100 million.
Well, but that's the thing that
God forbid these kids have to figure out how to live on that.
Well, I mean,
I'm angry all the time.
A la the Waltons, even if, you know, even when Warren Buffett and Bill Gates give away half their money, their kids would still be billionaires.
Yeah.
So it really isn't that big of a deal. But like I was saying, the paradox that you can't become a billionaire unless you're just like a psychopath. So that's why no billionaires have ever been like, yeah, you know what? So like one of the other examples I found here is that Mike Bloomberg, you remember you were going to vote for him. You want him to be president. Yeah. Little Mike. He could give every homeless person in America $100,000.
Yeah, but they just spend it on drugs, Tom.
Yeah, but that would be like, think about what that would do to the drug market. Think about how many more people would be employed selling drugs. No, I mean, I get that like there are, so I've read about like one of the problems with a company like Tom's Shoes. Not my shoe, Tom's Shoes. You know, their whole thing is like, oh, when you buy a pair of our shoes, we give away another pair to like a needy person in the third world. Is that has like then destroyed the shoe industry in these places?
Okay.
Because then it's like, well, there was, you know, a dude
who made
shoes for this village or whatever, and now he's just out. So like I get to a certain degree. Yeah, if you just like threw money on certain things, it would throw everything into disarray. But it's a solvable problem. You could find a way of like, how can I give away billions of dollars and hurt as few people as possible? Understanding, sure, some businesses might go out of business, but as a result, like, you know, for every business that dies, 1,000 people won't die of starvation or like die of, you know, preventable diseases that they couldn't attend to because they're riddled with medical debt and have no health insurance. Like one of these guys could come along and be like, you know what, I'm funding medical insurance. Like I'm giving everybody health care.
Yeah. I wouldn't want that health care. I'd be too proud to take it.
Well, there are a lot of examples that people could do.
Yeah.
You know, even, you know, something environmental of just like, I'm going to buy all this land and it's, you know, a public park now. Nobody else can go, you know, you can't drill there or whatever.
Right.
Or I'm going to build, you know, a huge solar array in the desert and give out that electricity at cost or something.
Yeah, none of these people are ever going to do that, though.
No.
Because you don't amass that type of money if that's the type of person.
Exactly. That again, the paradox. All right, number 9 and 8. Sergey Brin and Larry Page, the founders of Google.
Nice. I wear their goggles.
Number 7, Steve Ballmer.
Microsoft?
Microsoft man.
is he the one who owns like the Clippers?
Yes, I think.
Okay.
Golden State Warriors or Clippers?
Clippers. Right? He bought it from that that awful man. You like that old guy.
Oh, right. I forgot about that guy. Yeah. He had
You thought he was just a wife, delightful scamp.
The wife that wore a visor all the time, V?
Yeah.
I saw somebody wearing a visor like that recently, and I was like, oh, yeah, I remember that.
The thing you remember most about that story is the visor.
This woman wore like a full, just like reflective visor. It was nuts. I loved it. I can see why he fell in love with her.
It's like a Back to the Future Part 2 situation or something.
Yeah, I was like, look, this old man is just a very big Back to the Future 2 fan. He got tricked into saying some racist things while he was being recorded. Number 5, Warren Buffett.
Yeah, the Oracle from Omaha.
Yeah.
Nebraska. That's the most boring state, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, he's just a very...
Kansas. No, Kansas.
That's somebody that...
I like them all. They're great. The Heartland.
I'm just shocked that he's always held up as like, look, he's a good guy. And it's like, maybe he doesn't intend anyone harm, but I almost find that more offensive to be like, I'm just going to play.
Faux folksy is the worst thing on earth.
Well, it's partially that, but it's also, I don't know if he's super faux. I think it's more just like, oh, I don't care about anything except this game. Yeah. Like, I'm just going to. Economics is my game.
Fucking society. That's what these billionaires have done. And
so I'm not even going to use this money. I'm just going to run up the score.
They don't really you're talking about pissing contests and dick measuring contests. And it's like, to them, it's just like, this is all intangible because it's more shit than they can ever do anything with. And it's like, those are resources that you are pulling away from society for this sick game in your head, and people celebrate it. People celebrate you for this. I saw an article on an entertainment website that was criticizing Elon Musk's performance on Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
And someone in the comment section, someone who was commenting in the comment section of an entertainment website was like, show some fucking respect. That man disrupted the $25 billion or the $300 billion auto industry. What do you need to write that comment for? Show some respect?
Why?
He disrupted an industry. Why are you doing PR in the comment section of vulture.com?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Are you also on social media websites being like, show some respect. Don't threaten to rape and kill people because of the color of their skin.
Sorry, go on.
Yeah,
that's it. That's all I had to say.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm sure this guy, Mukesh Ambani, I'm sure he's an awful man. I'm sure he's done awful things. But part of me is like, he spent that $1.2 billion. That money went back into the economy. Like, people had to build that building. People were hired. Different businesses had
the Imagineers that built the backdraft ride.
Whereas like Warren Buffett is held up as like a good guy because he's just fucking sitting on the money. It's like, why is that? Spend that money.
Oh, but I'll drink Coca-Cola up here because I invest in Coca-Cola, and you should invest in the things that you consume yourself. I'm a sucker for candy. My grandson loves candy too. I probably shouldn't eat so much candy, but I can't help myself.
Well,
is that what Warren Buffett sounds like?
No, I don't think so. Well, and speaking of folksy, number 4, Mark Zuckerberg.
Oh, great man. It doesn't look like he's wearing 5 other people's faces over his own face.
Why can't he get a normal person haircut? He's an incredibly rich man.
It's because he wants to look like Caesar. He's got a Caesar thing. Did you know this?
No.
He's obsessed with
Who
Caesar.
Is he? George Clooney in 1992?
I mean, he should be so lucky.
Is that really what it is? I mean, that makes sense because it's just not a flattering haircut.
Yeah.
I've never heard that. Because like if you look at old things, it's like, no, he used to have like normal person hair.
Yeah.
And then
he went insane. Well, you
go insane.
You don't
so that's
rise
another
to this
thing.
level
If you're
without...
a billionaire out there, give us some of that money before you go insane. We're trying to help you, for God's sake.
Well, that's the thing. Like, you see a picture of like Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk back when they were like eccentric nerds or whatever, and like, oh, they're paunchy and their hairlines were weird, and people are like, oh, your hair. Like, of course, they fixed their hairline and lost weight, but also and like
got chefs and trainers.
Yeah, but that was also before they like this money and this game drove them actually insane, and they became sociopaths.
Right. Yeah, because both those guys, like in the late 90s, early aughts, you know, a lot of their peers made just as much money as them, and we're like, all right, well, I'm moving to Cancun with this supermodel I just married. I don't know, stay in touch, guys. And then these two guys were like, no.
More.
Number 3, Jeffrey Epstein's best friend, Bill Gates. And then number 2, Bezos. Number 1, Elon.
Man, Bill Gates really... It's been a wild year for him. He's really, really like, everybody was just like, hey, let's like, he was like the voice of reason, quote unquote, during COVID. He wrote a book about climate change as how we're going to solve it, and then immediately falls off a fucking cliff.
Yeah. Well, and you know, as we mentioned earlier, he's one of these guys that's been held up as like, he's a good man. Look at, he's trying, and in fairness,
ruthless businessman. In world history.
And in fairness, like, you know, he is trying to stop malaria forever. And like, as far as like, you know, rich guy dick measuring contests goes, like, hey, if that's how, because I think he said like, I'm not going to be in history books for Microsoft, but like if I solve this, I might be. Okay, if that's what it takes, fine.
Yeah, that's your motivation.
I mean, I thought enough motivation would be, I have the means to help these people. But sure, get in the history book.
I can't possibly use this for anything else because it's just too much of it.
Yeah. All these people are getting sick in a place where I can't sell them any of my products. So I guess I'll have to make sure to wipe out malaria so these countries grow economies that rely on Microsoft Windows.
Look, you need incentives, Tom. Otherwise, nothing will get done in society.
Well, that's the other thing with a lot, you know, with Zuckerberg, Bezos, and
Musk.
No, Gates. That like they all are also like started businesses that then got to the point where it was like, all right, we got everyone. How do we get more?
Yeah.
Like, you know, 95% of the computers in the world run Windows. Everyone in America and the developed world is on Facebook. Everybody uses Amazon. And then, you know, people like Zuckerberg are like, all right, there's a ton of people in India. What's that? They don't have internet? Well, what if we gave them free internet
so they could get creating consumers, not like saving lives or improving people's lives? Or so
I wouldn't look past the idea that that's what Bill Gates' end game is. He's like, it might take a while, but by the time I'm 130, like we'll be selling Windows licenses like crazy. In these third world countries.
Now gas up the Lolita Express. We're going away for the weekend.
But yeah, he really did have quite a fall.
Yeah. Thoughts and prayers. Hey, I think it's increasingly unlikely now, Tom, that anybody's going to give each of us $500 million.
Well, because we shit on them?
Yeah.
For all the listener knows, we kept somebody off the list because they gave us $500 million. Yeah,
that's true.
And that could be you. Tim, there's still 2,190 billionaires out there. Well, 2,188 because we did
Waltons,
mention two of the Waltons out there that, hey, look, you're in the crosshairs next, unless you give us each $500 million. Or $100 million as a show of good faith.
Yeah, that's a start. That gets the conversation
exactly. And you can find out where to do that at tcgt.com. Hey, sign up to our, hey, are you a billionaire? Sign up to our Patreon. You know, you only have to donate $5 or $8 a month for either bonus content or early content. But if you're a billionaire, why not put some extra zeros in there?
Is there a thing? I should know this. Is there a thing where you can name your price?
Yeah, I think so. I think, yeah. People can put anything in there.
All right, well.
Get to it. At $500 million, we won't criticize you on Billionaires Part 2. You can follow us on Twitter at Complete Guide. Follow us on Instagram at TCGTE. Follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/Complete Guide. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Tom Reynolds.
Follow me at your pal Tim.
And check out our sponsors. That also helps. Tim, where do you put your odds at becoming a billionaire within your lifetime at?
60%.
60?
Yeah.
I was going to say literally 0%. That I don't think there's a single thing you could do to become a billionaire.
I could amass $1 billion fortune.
How? Oh, through a listener. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a number of ways. I'm going to announce this to you and the rest of the world.
You got me. I was planning on.
Yeah, stealing my ideas.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a few of my own ideas to become a billionaire, but you know, you gotta have a lot of irons in the fire. Like we said, all these people, they've got multiple businesses.
Tom, do you think you would become a bad guy if you had legal $5 billion tomorrow?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
I don't trust myself to be like, if that happened to me, I think I would get the brain worms that would be like, all right, well, let it ride, baby. We're going to see how high we can go with this. Like, I don't think I'd be like, well, 499 million of it will go to these. Yeah. 4.9 billion will go to this. And
I think I would be like, all right, I've got $5 billion, but that's it. So I'm not going to give it away.
Yeah.
My criticism of Jeff Bezos is like, Amazon's still making money.
Yeah.
You could give away some of that money. It's not like this gravy train's going to suddenly stop for you.
Yeah.
That's my excuse for not giving away a single dime of my $5 billion I got for nothing.
Right? You value things like when you don't want to lose it more than when you want to acquire it, right? That's like a psychological thing. Like losing $5
I think I've heard that.
is like more emotionally effective than getting $5.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, I think I would just be a bad guy if I was a billionaire too. Yeah. I understand why they are. This is why we shouldn't let anybody become billionaires.
Right. We should save them from themselves.
Yeah. Honestly, I feel bad for them.
Wow. We'll see you next week.
That was a HeadGum podcast.